And we're back. Best Man Pod with your host, Simba Roar. Back in this thing one more time, bruh. This is The Diagnosis. And right now, I have a special guest. A special guest. This is a visionary. I like to say a prophetess.
Wow, that's generous.
A prophetess.
I'll go with it though.
I'm just. This is someone who I met this year who has shown me two things that I look for in people, and that's vulnerability and honesty.
Aww.
This is Miss Maja. Miss Maja Love.
Well, hello world, hello everyone, and thank you, Shane, for having me on this little podcast. This is cool.
Welcome.
Nice experience.
Welcome. So we're gonna talk about it. I know you have some stuff to talk about.
I have a whole lot to talk about.
I know.
What don't I have to talk about?
We're going to talk about it. So right now, Miss Maja Love.
Well, yes, Shane. Yes.
You told me that you're doing a 31-day self-love challenge on Instagram.
Yes, I am.
Why?
Day 7 right now, day 8.
Why? Why did you say, you know what? Instagram, I'm going to take you over for 31 days.
Yeah, well, I guess in part, first of all, the challenge itself is something that is very personal to me. Mm-hmm. And not only very personal to me, but something that I know that other people in my past, my friends, family, acquaintances have expressed, like, hey, I'm going through this struggle, going through this issue, this breakup, this fucked up financial situation, and I need help. Or, I struggled through it alone, or still going through it, but I'm trying to hide it. Mm-hmm. So I started to realize, we're going through all this stuff, but no one's really connecting.
Right.
No one's really, sharing their struggles. And yes, sometimes when you go through stuff, you have to do it alone. Yeah. That's part of healing. It's your own life. It's your own personal growth. But at the same time, I think we omit that sense of community when we go through a trauma or when we go through...
It's only happening to me.
Right.
We live on that. We isolate ourselves. We put ourselves on this island of self-pity.
Right. And it's very easy for that to be the scapegoat. It's very easy for us to fall into that victim mindset.
Yeah.
Rather than say, yes, I feel like crap right now. Yeah. I feel helpless. But, you do actually have family and friends and other people around you who do support you, And even if they're not friends or even if they're not family in the traditional sense, you have people who are in your circle who can give you something. So made this challenge as a way for people to just kind of think through these things themselves, kind of interpret some of the emotional, some of the mental things that they probably dealt with recently in the past, just so that they can have a tool for themselves.
Right.
I've seen some tools, self-help, self-love, self-care stuff on Instagram specifically about put on a face mask or let me wash my hair with some hemp or something crazy like that, which, yes, to a certain degree, those are aspects of self-love and self-care, but it's really about what are you doing on the inside? Yeah. Because that's what matters.
Right.
Yes, your physical body, of course, you need to take care of that. And that's an aspect, but really it has to be internal. Because if your emotions, if your feelings, if your thoughts are so strong to the point where you can physically get sick, that's something you really need to tap into.
Yes, when your body is rejecting just you being awake.
Right.
Yeah. You say that we don't, reach out to the people that we care about, that we allow to be in our lives. I am a huge proponent of self-care.
Right.
So if I wake up and I'm like, nah, I'm going to just stay in the bed.
Right.
I'm going to just stay in the bed today because I need to recharge myself.
Right. Which is valid. That's valid.
Yeah, you have to take those things. Like, at the end of the day, fuck work.
Right.
Either it's going to be there or I can't work if I'm dead.
Right.
You
just can't be productive that way.
I'm not going to be who I need to be for the kids. We work with the youth directly, so we need to be up to par.
Right.
Today, walking home from work, I just had a lot of aggressive energy.
Right.
that I needed to calm down from. And I called a friend of mine. I just called him, said, hey. She's like, hey, what's up? Nothing. I just needed some love.
Yeah.
Send me some love.
And it'd be simple stuff like that.
Yes.
That I think sometimes in our mind when we're going through whatever trouble, and it could be something minute, you know what I mean? It could be like I was at work, I had a bad day, I had a shitty day. And sometimes we kind of want to retreat inward, which again is totally valid. Right. But I mean, simply reaching out and just being like, hey, you know, you want to grab this drink after, or like, can you come over and just do a movie and popcorn, something light? Those are all very key components of, you know, getting over that hump, getting over that mundane issue, but also getting over those bigger issues. Right. We all need that sense of, we're human beings. Yes. So we need community. Yes. Like, I mean, if you're a hermit, honestly, you're dead. I'm sorry. You're going to die. You're going to die. If you're a squatter, you're dead. I'm sorry. So we need people and that stimulation.
I'm gonna go against that.
Oops.
So those people find that community in the, we'll say, inanimate. So
this is true.
We'll find that. I'm putting myself in there. We'll find that in talking to the river. You know, being community, putting your feet in the sand or putting your feet in the dirt and, you know, just talking to the earth. So for a hermit, depending on what type of hermit you are.
This is true.
We get that community from the ether.
Right.
We get that community from the spirits and from, you know, nature itself.
Right. And I guess that's where balance comes into play.
Exactly.
Too much of one or the other is like, you know, kind of, I mean, it's just like yin and yang type deal. You know, if you have too much of something else going on and too little attention catered to the other thing, then it's going to be off. Right. You're going to feel that. It's going to be off kilter. Shit is going to go wrong. Yeah. So it's really important, really vital for people to understand that type of balance, to be able to say, you know what? Yes, I need to be with people, and you know what? Let me draw back because this isn't the time.
Yes. So I'm putting myself out too much.
Right.
I'm overextending myself.
Which will be a topic soon.
Overextending yourself.
Yes, overextension and how to give back to yourself.
So, day one. How do you say, this is where I'm going to start? This is where we start.
Well, when I had created it, I wanted it, clearly the intention was for it to be a self-introspective thing.
Yes. For
people to look inward, to identify, like, you know, why is it that you're doing this? What is it that you want out of yourself? Your expectations of yourself, your desires for your future self, all this stuff. And so I started with, like, who are you and what do you want? Because I think sometimes we can start self-care, anything, challenges, days, spas, days, whatever. Rituals without setting that intention, without really understanding, like, what is the purpose of me doing this? Some people do things to escape. Some people do things for fun, to try it out. All totally valid. But in this instance, in the search of, like, what is really happening on the inside and can I seriously identify it, have fun, laugh, cry, be angry, be depressed, be whatever, and still fully be immersed in love with myself. Right. All of those things really, you have to be able to say, like, who the hell am I then?
Yes.
And so if you don't ask your question, who am I, regardless of how strong regardless of how strong your intuition is, regardless of how strong your personality or your belief in yourself is, I mean, that's great, but, you know, we're ever changing. Right. So you may not necessarily be the same person that you were a year ago. Definitely. In fact, you won't be.
Definitely not.
So it's like, who are you in this moment? Who is it that you want to be? And what are the steps that you're going to take in between to get there if you're supposed to get there?
Yes.
So, but it's all about understanding yourself, your true self, your inner essence, and then being patient with it too. Right. And understanding that you're still going to be coming into a new self every single time. So that was basically the question was, who the hell are you?
Who the hell
and
are
what do you want for yourself?
Yes.
So day one.
I always say if high school me knew who I was going to be, he would have laughed at me. He would have laughed at me.
Yes.
You about to do what?
Like, do you know how old you are?
Like, come on, bruh. 17-year-old me was a different dude.
I bet.
A different dude. I ain't had no hair. Now I'm out here luxurious.
Oh, yikes.
My hair is luxurious now. I had no hair.
You sound like you're having a crisis.
No. It was just who I was. I was angry at 17. I don't feel any type of anger now.
Yeah.
I'm so at peace that it's scary.
Yeah.
Like, I keep saying, like, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Like, because my life is not going bad.
Yeah.
I wake up relaxed and at peace. And that's because I had to put the work in. Mm-hmm. I took a year and a half and loved myself, cared for myself, healed myself. Mm-hmm. And now I'm here to a place where I feel great every single time I wake up.
Right.
Even when I feel shitty, even when I'm getting old, like I told you yesterday, I had to rub my body down with CBD oil because I was tense. It was ugly. But through all that, I still have an inner peace that's strong and that is radiates strongly every single day.
Right.
So day one is, who the hell are you?
Yeah. Who are you? What do you want?
Day two.
Day two was their success. Boom. So we talked about what is success? What does it look like, feel like, smell like? How do you envision your success? What different types of success are you trying to strive for?
Right.
And so I really just had people kind of like dissect those things just for themselves.
Right.
You know, what does my success look like? And then I kind of tried to break it down a little bit more to say like, okay, so all these things you've achieved, you worked your ass off, you know, you did X, Y, and Z things, you used your networking, you used your tools and your resources to get all these things done, but have you put that same amount of work in yourself? So yes, externally, I fought hella hard for this job.
Yes.
You know, like I was just on my ass every day about making sure that I had these credentials, this schooling, this connection with this person over here in Oakland or whatever. And it's like, that's cool and all. And that's obviously definitely a part of your growth, your success, but you're more than your job and your professionalism.
100%.
So what have you done in preparation for your internal self to take on that type of role, to take on that new job, that new endeavor? Because yes, you can be there at that new job, but are you like present?
Yes, exactly.
So it was really about trying to dissect what success is, kind of reshaping the word a little bit to kind of make it more internal.
Okay.
So what was that?
At the age you are now.
Oh boy. One of these questions.
Who is Maisha?
Oh boy, I don't know. I'm trying to figure her out. 23. Just turned 23 in January. Gone through a lot of stuff. These past 3 years have been really rough. These past 7 or so months have been very rough. And I have gone through so much change and transformation, especially these last 2.5 or so months. Like every single week I'm waking up and I just feel like a new version of myself. There are some days where I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Where the hell am I going? I have nothing. I feel useless. And then there were some days I'd wake up and be like, I'm fucking shit. I'm like, I know I am. And it was a lot of that back and forth. And then sometimes in a moment I'd be like, am I bipolar? Do I need to take some anxiety pills? Because it just felt like I was all over the place. So I think in this moment in my life, I am trying to find balance and being okay with being in that in-between stage. Right. So, because I don't think I'm completely out of control, but I'm not completely together. So, it's about being okay with that transitional period. Because transitional periods, no matter how long, no matter in what capacity you're transitioning to or from, it kind of feels foggy. Yeah, it does. So I feel like I've been in the mist, just kind of poking my hands around like, who the hell am I going to hit? Am I going to fall? Will I die? You know, so
if I fall, where would I land?
If I land anywhere. So, you know, it's been rough, but I think for the most part, I've been really trying to just enjoy, not to worry, not to stress, not to fear, but to just simply be. So I think Maisha in this present moment is just someone who is trying to be. Okay. So,
okay. Yeah. 23. Okay, first, before that. do you understand that those feelings that you have and those experiences that you've gone through, I don't want to say normal, but common. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times when we go through something, like we talked about, it feels like, oh, it's only me. Mm-hmm. Why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? Mm-hmm. And it's because you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to go through those hardships because it's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
We have to learn from where we are.
Right.
So we can get to where we're going and look back and like, damn.
That was me?
I did all that by myself or with the help of my loved ones.
Yeah.
But essentially it's by myself.
Yeah. Because
I have to be able to fight through it.
Right.
When I'm crushed by a building. Mm-hmm. You gotta lift it up. Yeah, you gotta lift that building up and get it off you. Right. And keep going.
Right.
About successes. Mm-hmm. I think a success of mine is being able to relate to my students on a level that nobody else can.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel that.
Because I walked home today and I turned on a different block than what I usually turn down. And I saw one of my students from last year.
Wow.
He's hanging out with his homies or whatever, like they on bikes and stuff like that. Like, they call me Mozzie. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mozzie, what's up? Dapped him up.
Yeah, right.
Dapped him up. What's up, bro? You good? Yeah, I'm good.
A whole over reunion.
Yeah. We had a game today. We had a basketball game today. Mm-hmm. Y'all win? Nah, we didn't win today. Oh, man. Woo-woo. Mm-hmm. Just chopping it up with him real quick. This dude's 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
All right, y'all be safe. Deuces. Dapped him up and kept walking.
Yeah.
He finished playing with his friends. Like, they're not going to see their other teachers like that.
Yeah.
On a personal level.
And being raw and honest. So I think, like, in a way, since we're going to, like, slightly switch it, like, I work with younger kids, so elementary school age kids. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing. Like, I mean, I'll be in a first grade, second grade class. I'll crisscross applesauce. Yeah. And they look at me like, who is this giant woman sitting like this with us? Right. So it's a little bit of a shock at first because they're like, what is this? Did she flunk? Yeah. But then, you know what I mean? They're
a big kid.
I mean, the question mark on their face is ridiculous. But then they start to realize, like, oh, like, she's relating to us. Yeah. She's sitting with us, but at the same time, we know, like, hey, we need to respect her. Exactly. And in return, we know that she's going to respect us. So, and I think that goes even deeper into why I started this 31-day thing is because, honestly, it started me working with the youth. Right. That's something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to instill in youth, no matter what age range I'm focusing on, just, like, be yourself. Definitely. Because when I remember being my 11-year-old self, like 2, 3 in the morning, I'm up. I'm looking at the ceiling. I don't even know what I was going through, but I'm just like crying. And I was like, God, I will never, ever allow anyone to feel the way that I'm feeling right now. So my 11-year-old self made like this pact with like my life purpose will be to make sure that other people understand they matter, that they have value, and that they can overcome anything that they think that they won't be able to overcome, and that they hold it all within inside of them, and that they're able to share, and they should share those stories. They shouldn't don't fear sharing your truth. Like, no matter what that truth looks like, no matter how, in comparison, your truth looks like to someone else's, because there shouldn't be any comparison, because you're your own person. You're your own individual person. So, of course, your experiences are going to be completely different. But you should take pride in that. You should respect that. And I feel like the younger we instill that in the kids, first grade, second grade, I mean, they grow up with that. Yeah. So I think people take elementary school level kids for granted. They're like, oh, well, they don't understand. They don't know. Right. Actually, they do. Yes. If you cuss around them, they soak that in and they start repeating it. And you're just like, oh my gosh, what happened? I started doing wildfire. Yeah. Same thing with building self-awareness, self-love, self-care. Why would you not start that at a young age? Young, yes. And especially with kids who go through traumas, especially with kids who've seen their own friends their age, older cousins, brothers die in front of them. And I've experienced some of those things. So I take it real personal that especially people of color, especially people who live in urban, ghetto-like areas, whatever you want to name it as, inner city areas. Like, we need to be serious about checking in with ourselves, checking in with our people, not brushing off whatever mental, emotional things that we're going through, because then we're just going to sit here in this cycle.
Yeah, there's no change.
Yeah, so...
When you see the impact and the growth that a student has, no check can equal that.
No, not at all.
No check could equal that. And and today when we had our basketball game, the refs, weren't on our side.
Right.
The scoreboard people weren't doing their job because they're kids.
Right.
So you're trusting a child to run this game right now.
Right.
And it wasn't working.
Right.
So the kids are getting down on themselves and, they cheating and woo, boo, boo, boo. Okay. All that is true.
Yeah.
Right? But you also aren't playing well.
Right.
How many points have you scored? Beyond the whistles, how many points are y'all making? So even through that, you have to fight through the adversity. It's not going to be easy for you. Nothing is going to be easy for you.
Right.
And if you can't take the fact that people are against you now, you're gonna think that everybody's against you later.
And then even with that, if you set your focus on the external, other people, other things, while you're not together, you're gonna find yourself in an even more broken place.
Yes.
I think that's why when people say, worry about yourself, stay in your lane, it's, yes, in a way it's a diss. Yeah. Some people need to stay in their lanes. But at the same time, it's truth. You know what I mean? Like, if you focus in any way, in a positive way, in a negative way, on other things other than what's sitting right here in your form, it's just going to lead you down a path that you don't need to be down, and then you're going to add excess stress, excess emotions that aren't necessarily yours to carry or to feel or experience in the first place. So,
and now you're out of whack.
Exactly. Even more so than before. So now you have to dig deeper into all of this stuff to unpack. And it's like, oh, wait a second, this stress, that wasn't even mine to begin with.
Right.
And, it didn't have to be there. Yeah. So I think it's really important, again, for us to really focus, especially as people of color, to really focus on us, ourselves. Focus on what makes us who we are, what makes us happy, what makes us want to do the things that we want to do. Yeah. And so then, to add to your point, regardless of what's happening around us, regardless of whatever systemic things, injustices that happen around us, I'm going to still do me.
Definitely.
I'm going to still do my fashion show. Definitely. I'm going to still go and hang with my friends. I'm going to still do whatever it is your goals are, whatever it is your aspirations are, to still say, despite these odds, I'm going to still do it.
Definitely. So, I can't live. I can't live.
Right.
If I'm not me, I can't live being a follower.
Yeah.
I would, when I was a kid, literally, if everybody went this way, I would go this way and go sit over there.
Just move with the crowd.
And then now I'm chilling over here on the bench. Everybody else down there.
Yeah.
Then they start trickling over here. Come messing with me. What's up? What we talking about now?
Yeah.
Now the whole group that was over there is with me.
Yeah.
This is the group now.
Yeah.
I have a friend that I've been rocking with since third grade. He's like, the one thing that I can always say about you is that you were you. You never tried to be anything else. You might have tried different things that we were doing, but you weren't, invested.
Yeah.
You just doing it because, hey, let's try it.
Right.
Like skateboarding. I never wanted to skateboard. The homies were skateboarding.
Yeah.
But I fell one day and said, you know what, skateboard? Deuces.
Right.
Y'all can go skateboard. Y'all go out, go hang out, be friends and all that. Yeah. But me?
Yeah.
I'm not getting back on that goddamn skateboard.
Yeah, I know. Fuck that shit.
My whole left side was just bloody. I was through. I'm coming down a hill.
So that's where you messed up.
Coming down a hill on a long board. I don't know how to stop. I'm just riding this goddamn skateboard. I got big wheels, so I come down into a pothole. Coming through an intersection, the light is now turning red. The light's turning red. I can't stop. There's a pothole right there. I'm coming down a hill.
Wow.
Get through the pothole. Front wheels get through potholes. Back wheels send me flying through the intersection sideways. Impact. Just slide. My whole left side was just... It was through.
Wow.
I'm bleeding. I took the bus home. I'm like, yo, I'm not skateboarding home. I'm not skateboarding home.
Oh, snap.
I'm gonna take this bus home.
Right.
But that was, even through that, it's what did I do? Mm-hmm. What did I do? I knew that I didn't want to be skateboarding. Mm-hmm. I knew that I didn't know how to skateboard, but I'm just doing it.
Mm-hmm. And then you did it out of your own will.
Yeah.
Like that was something that you were like, I want to try this.
Yeah.
And that's something that
this
I feel like
cool.
Right, exactly. But you did it for yourself. Yes. You know what I mean? Not for the validation of others.
Hang out with y'all.
Right, to fit in. Yeah. So I had like similar growing ups with situations like that. It was I remember being super, super isolated when I hated middle school. Middle school was fucking terrible. Trash ass experience. But I was isolated from everyone. It was a situation where guess if I wasn't liked by a particular person, that person would try to get everyone to turn against me, or at least that's what it looked like. And that's definitely how I felt. So I always felt like I was by myself, but even in that, and sometimes I would think, well, maybe, especially in the beginning, I would think, well, maybe I need to do something differently so I can be a part of this group. Not necessarily to be accepted in a way, but just so I can say, like, I have a group, that I belong. I think I was, well, that's it. I was looking for belonging. Yeah. There you go.
You wanted to be.
Yeah, I just wanted to have a group to just kind of connect with and just be fun, be a kid, but it didn't happen that way. And I ended up finding myself really isolated, trying to figure out, like, well, what's wrong with me? Should I have said this differently? Maybe if I looked a certain way, I'd be accepted. If I don't know, had the latest stuff, if I was more cool, then people would gravitate. So I found myself trying to do certain things or act a certain way that wasn't me. But I quickly died that off. Like,
because you can only be fake for so long.
It's not authentic.
Not at all.
And so when you're not authentic, like it's like eating something rotten that's painted to look good.
Yeah.
Yes, from the outside perspective, it's like, oh, she's eating that juicy apple. But like, in your mouth, that shit is moldy. It is slimy. Why is this in my throat right now? You know what I mean? And so I found myself in that type of position that I didn't want to be there. So I quickly cut that off and tried to understand as a middle schooler, right? How to accept and grow in isolation.
Okay.
And being away from people that clearly didn't want to really interact with me in the way that I wanted to interact with them and the way that I felt like I needed to be interacted with.
So where did you find shelter in middle school?
Shelter really came from outside my school. Okay. So other kids outside that I knew, really my family, but it was external.
Were you involved in any activities outside of school?
Outside of school, my education program was like the biggest one. Okay. By middle school, I kind of omitted everything because it was really education based for me. It was like, you got to go to college, you got to do this. So I just threw myself into some of my work. But my head was always up in like, God, I just want to be in high school. Oh, I don't want to be here. Oh, my. I want to be grown.
Yeah, high school will do it.
I know, but and when I got to high school, I'm like, I want to be 25. Like, it was so bad. But
it's awesome bullshit.
I know. It's a fraud. It's a fraud situation. But I had to learn to survive internally with isolation because I feel as an only kid, I was always alone.
Only child gang.
I know, right? Gang. And so I felt like I want that type of like sisterly, brotherly connection with someone. Exactly. And I just didn't feel like I was finding that, especially in middle school. Right. But it's middle school. That's over. Whatever. Right. But I think that was the catalyst for me to be okay with being alone. So then when I got to high school, I saw how other people hated being alone. Yeah. They despised it. They were like, I can't stand silence. I can't stand. And that's when I really started to take note, like, maybe what I went through wasn't bad after all. You know, I think a lot of my experiences have pushed me way forward beyond other people. Right. And what they perceive to be like hard, difficult, whatever. So, but then at the same time, I'm behind people. Everyone's at a different level with everything. Right. But my journey, it was learning about how to be okay with self.
Right. Okay. So. Well, for me, middle school, 6th grade.
Trash. Trash. All of it's trash.
It was my biggest growth year, I guess, of, that time of my life. Because we had something called the Peace Patrol. So we got these dope windbreaker blue jackets.
Yikes.
With a huge Peace Patrol on the back.
Wow, y'all went all in.
And we solved problems on the schoolyard.
Like pure mediation.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
advanced.
So we learned empathy training, active listening, the things that, and we were taught by the counselor at the school. So she's given us therapy type tools, levels of knowledge, and it's for a 10, 11-year-old.
Yeah,
that's mind blowing.
Yeah,
you mean I can like get people to do what I want? Just using these skills?
Yeah, you can control them.
oh, I'm using this all the time. You telling me that if I get into an argument with someone, that the best thing to do is walk away? Cool.
Wow, yeah.
Cool, because that leaves them in their feelings.
Yeah.
A lot of the times with conflict, it's, I feel a way, I'm going to project them to you.
Yeah.
But you're angry. It might be something I've done, yes. But that anger has nothing to do with me. That anger has to do with how you're reacting to whatever was done to you. And that comes from wherever it comes from.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, if I come with like, I'll just walk away. I'll leave. Because I'm not going to do this with you. Because I'm not upset.
Right.
And if I fight with you and I argue with you, I'll get upset.
And that gives you autonomy over yourself, too.
Exactly.
And your own
So I've choices. Always been able to be like, me over you all the time. I always say, if I have to choose my you over my sanity, I'm picking my sanity every time. That's in business. That's in relationships. That's in, every aspect of my life. I'm always going to pick my sanity over whatever it is.
Yeah. And I think for me, that took me a while, and I'm still going through it, guys. Really putting myself first. It's not that I necessarily put other things and people before me, but the type of person and personality that I have is very, people say nurturing, I guess so. It's just, I care a lot. Nurturing. Yeah, like it's just, it's very like, I want to make sure everyone else is good because I know what it feels like to feel shitty. Right, you know what I mean? Right. I know what it feels like to not be good. And it's not that I can save them or fix it, but as long as that person knows like they have someone there, that would, I don't know, I just felt like that's something that I want to do, that I needed to do in a way. But I started to realize that I wasn't focusing on myself. I was focused. And then on top of that, I was kind of projecting my expectations. Of, unknowingly, subconsciously. Because then if the situation would go bad, relationship, friendship, whatever, I'd be super, super devastated. And I'd be like, oh my God, this person hurt me. Like, I feel cut to the core. And it was because even though I was... and even though it was because I was doing this out of my own free will to give to other people, like in the back of my mind, I guess I just had this thought like, well, I really hope, or I would like for someone to do these things to me. And it wasn't like one of those situations where I was doing it and expecting something in return. I didn't. I genuinely don't. But it was just something that I thought like, okay, well, clearly there's this justice, this reciprocity thing happening, you know? So if you see that I'm giving, of course you're going to give.
Right.
And then when that didn't follow through, and I felt so depleted, I felt so empty, I felt like I just let myself go for what? Yes. So it's been a process, because honestly, there's been a recent situation I've been through. It's been really, really rough.
Right.
And I think in this stage of my knowledge and healing and growing out of it, kind of in the reflection stage, and thinking about this very thing. Yeah. It's kind of like, okay, I gave to this person, really interested in this person, and they completely let me down, devastated me, but then I had to think, you know, what was my hold on that? What was my hold on that person? Right. What was I expecting to get from that person? And, like, why wasn't I able to give it to myself? Right. So.
And did you expect too much from this person?
I think I expected just enough from the wrong person.
And that's where that happens a lot.
That also can really destroy you.
Yeah. So. Because you feel disappointed, because you feel as though, you know, like you said, I do all this. When do I matter? Yeah. When do I matter? I'm doing everything for you.
Right. And then that's what those feelings of feeling neglected come in. Exactly. You feel kind of used. You feel deceived, manipulated. I felt all of those things, still kind of filtering it out. Right. Because it's real, you know? And so it doesn't matter how long ago it happened. It's just... It takes time to go on your path of healing and to let those things go. Definitely. And then to also filter, because like I said, every single day, you're learning something new. You're a new you, new perspective, new understanding, new revelation. So I'm going through that currently, and it's so hard.
Yeah, it is.
So hard, but so rewarding at the same time. I'm just such a better version of me this time last year.
Yeah. He was
a mess.
Yeah.
A mess. Wow. A mess.
I think we put too much stock in the people that we're with.
Yeah, that's true. I think so too.
Instead of, because we romanticize love.
Exactly.
And love doesn't necessarily have to be romantic.
Right. It could be platonic. Right. It could be with yourself. Yeah.
And there's different situations, especially because what my goal in my life from a young age was, I want to understand women. So this is my goal. It's not even that you're hard to understand, because I understand y'all.
Okay.
But the complexities and understanding the complexities of a woman is what's difficult.
I can literally sit here and say the same thing for men.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think men make certain situations way complicated than what they need to be sometimes. And
we make things too simple.
And that's what's complicated. Because, and I was just talking to someone about this, like sometimes men have a tendency to avoid. Yeah. Not saying all men do, but for the most part, there is this type of, I just want to keep the peace. Yeah. So rather than fully engage in whatever it is, a conversation, something, you know, I'm just going to I'm going to say whatever just to appease it and take a backseat.
I ain't trying to hear all that yelling shit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, but you neglecting or you hiding from the situation is just as bad. Right. Because that means it never gets dealt with. Yeah. It can fester. That's where bitterness, resentment comes from. That's where it becomes even harder to let go of certain things because you stuffed it down so far that now it's so far from your reach. Yes. When other things start piling on top of it and you're trying to get to the root, you're like, I can't find it because it's like buried in there.
That goes with communication. And we don't know how to communicate.
Clearly.
So for me, I've been communicating since, you know, like actively communicating so long that that when I meet a new woman, it's no, I'm an open book. I'm going to tell you exactly how I'm feeling. Yeah. To a point where you're like, oh, why you act like that? I'm just telling you how I'm feeling right now. And it's like, I don't get, like, for a woman, it's like, I don't get that. I don't get a man just saying how he feels about something. Yeah. Good or bad. Yeah. I feel like this about this. Yeah. it sometimes it's too much. So I am too much sometimes. And I know for a fact I'm too much.
You do, as long as you recognize it.
I actively am too much.
Yeah.
So to a point, sometimes I'll say something. I'm like, "Fuck! Why did I say that? My bad. I'm just, I'm just going right now.
Yeah, running off the mill.
Because that plus the fact that my life is basically a comedy show. In my head, so I'm so quick with my wit. And it cuts.
Wow.
It cuts.
That's deep.
It cuts. But I just be playing with my tone.
But it's low key a little bit of truth though.
It's always
Can't
truth.
even lie.
It's always truth, but it's wrapped in a joke.
Right.
And my tone is so dry. I have dry humor.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you don't even catch that I'm being sarcastic.
Yes.
Because I'm telling the truth.
I think that's an air sign thing. I don't know. Dropping the zodiac.
Okay. Air signs in the
It doesn't have to be. I'm just
air signs in the building. Day 4.
Day 3?
Day 3.
We didn't do 3 yet. Yeah, we were still on 2. Did we do failures?
Day 3.
So day 3 was about, and then there's failures. So talking about, yes, you succeed. Yes, you have all these great things going for you. Yes, the joys of life.
Yeah.
They're abundant. But just as abundant as the happiness is, so is the pain.
Yeah.
And the realization that, like, oh, snap. That job I took, that relationship I was in, that friendship I had, this thing I did for myself, it completely flopped.
Yeah.
Or it didn't go the way I thought it would, or it didn't go the way I thought I wanted it to go.
Right.
And so sometimes I think, especially when we want and desire something so much. Mm-hmm. Like, if we really strive for this and we're, like, putting our all in it, like, beating nails into it every day, like, I'm going to get this, and we don't, that's even more devastating to us. And I think that goes back to kind of people and relationships is, what is the expectation that you're putting into it? The same thing can be applied to things. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to get a car, you're working, don't get the car you want. Don't get the money that you need for the car that you want.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trash. But you're not. And yes, that thing may not have come to fruition the way you wanted it to or how you wanted it to come about, but at the same time, it's like, what were you able to do in the process of all that? Right. What did you learn or gain through the whole process of striving for that goal, striving for that job or whatever?
What skills did you learn?
Right, because that's equally as important. That's not the end of your road. Just because you don't get that end goal doesn't mean you die.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're still able to live. You're still able to see another day.
Right.
And from there, you're able to take those skills that you learned, those lessons that you learned, and apply that to the new direction that you're taking to get to another place. And maybe in that failure, you even think to yourself, well, did I even really want that?
Right. I'm just going after this. Yeah. Because it's what I think I want.
Right. So sometimes I think when doors close on us, it's not to say that we don't deserve it. Yeah, we're undeserving or that we're not ready for it. Yeah. Sometimes it's to say, hey, not this way, but let's go this way instead. Let's go through this open door. Mm-hmm. Let's go through the window. Right. Go through the doggy door.
This door is not for you.
Exactly. Because maybe there is another path. Maybe there's another thing, person, ending for you to get involved in and for you to experience. Right. That's going to even put you on a greater plateau. I'm sorry, it's late. I'm tired. It's not that late, but it's late for me.
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. So it puts you on a different platform for something that, maybe you didn't even think that you needed, that you wanted, even know that you could achieve. Yeah. And that makes a world of a difference.
That's very true.
And I think it's just a matter of going with the ebb and flow. So with the failure thing, it was really about trying to see, are your failures actual failures?
Right.
And then are your feelings of failure tied to your own expectations or expectations of others?
Right.
Because I think, especially for me, like going through college and stuff, I still trying to filter through this. Right. Carry the weight of my family, first generation in college, to graduate and everything. So I've been put...
Black history.
Right. So a lot of pressure has been put on me to exceed.
Right.
To be more, do this, go out and be a lawyer, be this. All these grandiose ideas, which are still, if I wanted them, they'll be fantastic goals, but it's like, are they mine?
Right. Right.
And then even when I tell people, like, hey, that's not the path I want to go. Oh, but you're going to do it. Because I prayed, or I just see it in you. You're going to be a judge. Yeah. And I'm just like, but...
Yes.
Right. Completely invalidate what I want for myself. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't learn how to release that, if you don't learn how to shed the expectation, your own expectations, shed the expectations of other people and other things, shed unrealistic expectations, you're going to constantly feel like you're hitting a wall, and eventually you will be hitting that wall. Because you won't be moving forward or backwards or sideways. You'll just be in that stagnant place.
Right.
So
this is not what I want in my life.
Right. Yeah. So day 3 was really about just like dissecting those things a little bit more. So
my problem is that I strive for greatness, and I think that people are better than what they are.
Right.
So I'm like, yo, I see it. I see this. Mm-hmm. Y'all don't see this right now? Like, we're looking at the same place, but you can't see what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. Just open your eyes and look right there. It's right there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like how we say, we put too much expectation. Mm-hmm. You feel disappointed because why can't you see that this door is open? Right. Like right now, you're looking through the window. I'm like, bruh, the door is wide open.
The hinge is gone.
And I have walked through, and now I'm looking I'm inside the house looking at you. Like, bruh, just walk over here.
Yeah, a little bit to the left.
and sometimes if the vision isn't the same, you have to part ways.
And exactly. So if someone is not on the same mental, emotional, spiritual level that you're on, sometimes you have to be honest with yourself and be like, let me just... Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're disposing of that connection forever. Mm-hmm. But, you have to be real with yourself and be like, hey, this is where I'm at. Right. This is where I want to be. Right. I see and I have a clear vision. Are these people in my life or these things that I'm allowing to be in my life going to help me propel towards that? Right. Is it going to help me either get a new understanding of it, or, like, severely, like, overachieve what I thought that I was able to do? Right. And if those things aren't serving you, you have to be honest with yourself. And that's hard. It's hard to be honest and be like, this friend I've had for 15 years. Because that's a deep connection, but that's just how life goes. It's an ebb and flow of life. So there's a time for everything. There's a season for everything. Definitely. To lose, to gain. And so sometimes those type of relationships, those type of jobs or whatever, they fall into those categories. Yeah. I mean, even within ourselves, sometimes you can go into a new place, but you need a different mindset. Definitely. And you have to be able to kill off your dead mindset. Yeah. Like, if it's just complete dead weight to you, you need to be able to cut it off. To move forward.
I lived, growing up, I lived in an apartment complex. Mm-hmm. Tons of kids everywhere. I lived on the first level. I lived on the first floor. I had 2 friends on the second floor, friend on the third floor. The third floor, we were the same age. Second floor, they're both the same age. So that was how the dynamics were. They're 4 years older than us. So they were our OGs. They showed us the way not to go. Yeah. We said, oh, we don't want to be like that.
Right, we don't want to be that. Yeah.
So let's figure out how we're going to be out here in this world. And we spent so much time together because, we were friends, whatever. And we literally lived upstairs from each other. Yeah. Spent a lot of time together. That breeds some type of contempt at some point. Yeah. We didn't speak to each other for maybe 3 or 4 years.
Thanks, that's a long time. Yeah.
But when we started to speak to each other, it wasn't but ooh.
Yeah, some problems.
It was, what's up, Rick? What's going on? What you doing? Simple as that. Yeah. It wasn't no problems. It wasn't because we understood that now we're men. We're not little kids no more. We got to experience our life outside of each other, become the people who we wanted to be outside of each other, and are able to still be cool. Sometimes if you cut people off, it's like, oh, y'all beefing? It's like, no, we're not beefing, or at least I'm not. I just grew. And I can't be around certain people anymore.
Right, and you have to surpass a certain period in your life.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And a certain moment, too. So I think sometimes, we can get into confrontations or conflicts with ourselves, friends, families, whatever. And I think sometimes a part of resentment and bitterness is holding on to it.
Definitely.
So we're like, where the beef stuff comes in, it's like, you obviously have not allowed yourself, your emotions, your mind, your thoughts to literally be extracted from that moment in time and let that moment be in the past. Because once the past happens, it's done. You know? So if you keep reliving something that is obviously not living with you in your present moment, there's a disconnect.
Yes.
And not only is there a disconnect between this present moment and the past, but in your emotions. Because why are you so hung up on this? Yes. Why are you so caught up? What is something that you haven't dealt with?
Right.
That you're sulking in, because obviously this shows that this extends way past the person.
When I reached my level of peace.
When? Please tell me, because I need it. I need it so bad.
It was within that year that I was talking about. I forgave everybody for everything, including myself. And I made it a goal. I didn't even make it a goal. Whenever I thought about it, whenever it flashed in my head, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive everyone. I forgive myself for the mistakes that I made. I was a child.
Another topic for 31 days. Message.
You have to forgive yourself for your mistakes and other people for how they've done you.
Yeah.
Until you do those two things, you'll always harbor resentment. Yeah. Because a lot of the times when we're upset, it has to do with us and not the other person. Yeah. So
slowly, I'm learning that.
I woke up free. And I've been free ever since. I don't harbor feelings. I can be upset. I get through that and I'm like, okay, that was just an emotion. It's not how I feel.
And you don't have to keep perpetuating that emotion within yourself.
Exactly.
That's another thing. I think sometimes we're like, oh, well, that person made me feel this way.
Right.
And it's like, that was in that moment.
Right.
So now that you're out of that moment, that feeling, is it something that is being caused by that person continuously? Because sometimes that can happen.
Yes.
People can antagonize.
Yes.
But if they're not doing that, if they're completely gone out of your life or out of your current place of wherever you are, then why are you perpetuating it? So I've been learning that on my own. Yeah. Still kind of am. Didn't really even think like, oh, I was holding on to anything. Yeah. I just felt like, oh, I was hurt. I was wrong.
They hurt me.
Yeah, they hurt me. But I sat there and I tried to think, okay, well, what part did I play in it? Right. Try to correct myself. But at the same time, I think I still held on to the emotion. Yeah. And sometimes we hold on to emotions not to necessarily be the victim. Or just say, oh, that person deserves to be whatever. But sometimes we hold on because we're kind of holding on to that thing. And your emotions are the last thing sometimes that you have to that connection. But when it's time to fully...
are your memories.
Exactly. Yep. But sometimes when you're ready and when you need to fully let go, that includes the emotion. Right. You can't let it replay. Right. You can't let it keep going over in your mind or in your heart. Because then after a while... you start forming other feelings like resentment, bitterness. You start kind of like taking on these forms of just like this mental instability. Yeah, you become anxious. You start thinking, right? You start thinking, am I bipolar? Stress. Am I? Yes. That anxiety starts hitting. It's like, why am I having a nervous breakdown right now? Because you're not letting go. You're torturing yourself with that. It's too much inside of you that you haven't released or either don't want to release or haven't released. But and that's where another thing is, another topic, message, detaching yourself from, yes, you can have a desire. Yes, you can have Is that a day? It's one of the, it's an upcoming day? Yes. Okay. In the future. Okay. This near future? It's in the near future. Be on the lookout. God, don't know what I'm saying now. Detachment is necessary. There we go, detachment, Because, like I said, I had to detach. When I went out and women were attracted to me, didn't pay them any mind. Because I was focused on me.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't like going out looking for women because I was single. Mm-hmm. I dealt with a fucked up relationship that I didn't want to take into my next relationship. Right. So I had to heal from her and from the things that I did. Mm-hmm. And that took a year and a half. I literally did not talk to anyone but the people that I already knew. I'm
in that process now.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
I was celibate for a year and a half. I said, you know what, fuck it. It's not about women right now.
It's about me.
Because if I don't get through this, every single person I'm going to be with, I'm going to mess up.
Mm-hmm. It's going to end up messing you up too.
Exactly.
Because, nothing can grow from a barren place. Right. So, like, if that shit's been torched, you're not going to get no apples. You ain't going to get no cherries. Right. You're not going to get anything.
And I love to love on all levels.
Yeah.
So, just meeting people and, being an ear for them or, making someone's day, making someone smile. Yeah. That's my shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell a joke to make somebody laugh. Yeah. This life is too fucking difficult not to laugh.
Yeah.
I need to laugh personally.
For me.
Yeah, for my sanity, I need to laugh. So hey, we all gonna laugh right now. Yeah. If you don't laugh, there's something wrong with you because I'm funny as fuck. Oh
dang, wow, detachment.
I'm funny as fuck.
Well.
Day 4.
Day 4 was re-envisioning your goals. Goals in every sense of the word.
Right.
So he kind of broke down, like, what are your goals? Mm-hmm. What do you aspire? What do those aspirations look like to you? How do you see yourself molding, forming, fitting in your goals for yourself? Mm-hmm. Are they realistic?
Right.
Is it something that you want for yourself? Mm-hmm. Is some other people want for you? It keeps going back to that because sometimes I think if we're not consciously doing it, subconsciously we have in the back of our minds like, oh, is my mom? Oh my gosh, what if my grandfather? Mm-hmm. Or like, oh, if I have kids, like, I mean, and of course you need to take care of those situations, those family members, those connections. But sometimes I think we tend to put them in the forefront of our plans. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's fine and dandy, but don't forget, you cannot omit what do you want to do for yourself?
Right.
Because the minute you start to neglect yourself, that's the minute where you start to lose yourself to other things.
Yes.
You can't do that. You just simply can't. Goes back to balance. You need to find a healthy balance. It's not going to be easy to find it. People take all their lives. People are 45, 65. People are 18, don't know balance. And people are like, well, 18, of course you don't. But I was a different 18-year-old.
The thing that... Two things was that 6th grade and 11th grade eye-opening years for me. 6th grade was the learning of the therapy, and 11th grade was seeing the world for what it actually is.
Right.
I went to a Catholic school my whole life up until 11th grade. Mm-hmm. Going from a Catholic school my whole life to then going to a public school.
For the last year.
For the last 2 years.
Wow.
Last 2 years.
Dang. Wow.
Last 2 years. I'm grown at this point. And...
Grown.
That's what I'm saying. I'm grown at this point. Like, it was just a shell shock because I'm ahead of everybody. But I'm still behind a lot of people.
No.
Because I didn't take school serious, but I was still ahead mentally and, in school, whatever like that, because the public school system doesn't work well.
Especially not in West Contra Costa or Oakland.
You have to be in a situation where you're wanting, like you said, I wanted to do better. I wanted to learn. I wanted to put the friends to the side so I can focus on these books.
And that's necessary.
Yeah.
And there are going to be moments in your life, I think at every stage, in every way where you're going to need to do that.
Right.
You're going to need to tell yourself, like, it's time to go into hermit mode.
Definitely.
It's time to, like, withdraw. Not to say, like, screw all my friends and everybody else. Like, I'm going to start a new life and my name will now be Amber. It's not on that level, but but just to say, I need to take some time for self-introspection.
Definitely.
I need to do some soul searching, some investigation, some reworking of what's working, what's not.
Right.
And then also just sitting with yourself tells you a lot.
Definitely.
And people are afraid to sit with themselves.
100%.
People do not like or feel super uncomfortable when they need to just be with their own self. Yes. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, I love being with myself. I go get myself coffee. I go to the movies. But it's like, no. I mean, even beyond that, literally sitting in your room, maybe saying, hey, I'm going to say no to that date on Friday and sit in your house.
Right. Being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable.
Share it.
Being uncomfortable in yourself. Being uncomfortable in the fact that all you really have is you. For me, it was easy because my family situation wasn't, I guess, normal.
Yeah.
So I didn't have, I grew up, my grandmother raised me.
Yeah.
And when she passed 3 or 4 years ago now, and so for me, I don't have that mentality of I gotta buy my mama a house. I gotta make sure I'm the best so I can, for my people to be proud of me and stuff like that. 'Cause it's just me. So for me, it's way easier to be uncomfortable within myself than most people. Because on top of that, I'm the only child. On top of that, my friends are, few and far between. The lack of family. I'm always in isolation for the most part. And I have the most fun when I'm by myself. When no one is home, I get to act a fool.
Oh my God. Party.
I get to act a motherfucking fool.
Yeah.
And that's because...
We do that on the regular anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'll sit in my kitchen and DJ for 12 hours and not even trip.
Yeah.
But the growth mindset of 11th grade was, I had this humanities class. And it was a class that was hated within the school system because he's teaching us real shit. He's teaching us about, the child rebel soldiers. He's teaching us about the invisible children, the Darfur and the women sex trafficking and things like that. He was so ill that he created a whole, syllabus or packet of articles and things like that. And you couldn't read it unless you was in that class.
In the class, wow.
Because we were a group. We were a group that we was a cult. Like, he was a cult in there. Like, showed me the Matrix for the first time and showed me what the Matrix actually was. In the grander sense of life. Just opened my eyes to like, yo, there's a lot of fuck shit going on.
And far more things than we could ever come to know. You know, there's stuff that's so far beyond our actual knowledge. But.
So this little meaningless bullshit of, oh, she hurt my feelings. I got bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah. Like, because there is, when you really think about it, there is a world beyond that. There's a world. So sometimes, like, I find myself, now we're going to get a little philosophical. Like, sometimes I find myself, yes, I can be very emotional, be really enthralled in what's happening. Like, oh my God, I'm so hurt. But then in the same token, there's like some weird moment where I'm like extracting myself from that. And I'm just like, like, in 5 years, scratch that. In 5 weeks. Will this even matter?
No. Won't.
You have to really think, like, will this person be a key element to my life?
It won't.
And we don't know, it's really easy when definitely like no, it's a no. It's just a no. But, sometimes you just don't know. Life has a funny way, and I think when you allow yourself to let go of that, of whatever issue is at hand, whatever like offense that you took, and you start to realize like life is too short, one, and then on top of that, you never know. That very person that you were at odds against could end up being your best friend. Could 100%. End up being someone that you marry, 100%. Or whatever. You know, 100%. You just never know. So I think sometimes we give too much to our present moment. Yeah. We give too much to the emotions. Let me correct that. To the emotions in our present moment.
We live in the present and the past.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, but now the present is the past.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And you're still thinking that the past is the present. It's like you are done with that.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Yeah. There's so many times where I'm having a, disagreement. And it's like, I feel like this, I feel like that, I feel like this. I'm like, okay, so what is the resolution? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, how do we fix it?
Because I understand that you feel messed up. I understand that you feel wronged. But how do we remedy that? How do we say, hey, this life only comes around once if you're lucky.
I don't need it.
If you're lucky, this life comes around one time. If you're unlucky, you'll just keep replaying this bullshit over and over again until you learn what you need to learn. I don't want to come back here.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back here. I'm trying to learn as much as I can. I believe this far before it was, a big thing that people were saying, but I got in trouble for saying that I believe this.
Yeah. I don't understand. I hate that.
I said, God is a woman because there's nothing that I love more than a woman. So God has to be a woman. I said this at 11, 12 years old.
Oh my God.
And I got in trouble for that because my family is really Christian and saved and sanctified and all that. But I never felt that when I went to church. When a person got up there and was in the Lord in the Jesus, like all that, I never felt none of that.
Yeah.
What I did feel was dum 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 dum. Yeah. That had my heart racing.
Yeah.
It was music that I found God in. I hear God every time I hear music. I see God when I hear music. Music is, to me, a feminine energy. Because music is soothing. It's calming. It's nurturing. For me, that's it all plays in a part. Like, God is... I found God in music. Music is a feminine spirit. God is feminine. God is feminine energy. And then before I even understood all this and being able to verbalize it, I felt that. You don't need to say that. It's Heavenly Father. Why?
See, even with that, though, same thing. Like, I grew up in a really Christian background, and I still hold my faith, but at the same time, I was really young, asking questions like, okay, so God created us. Who created him? Like, who is his creator and stuff? And so that was when I was super, super young, like in church, asking that. And then even more recently, my whole thing is like, why are we even putting God or this entity, this higher being, this higher power in any type of our box when that power is so far removed from us? Like, there's nothing our human descriptions can possibly do to describe what's happening. Like, you know what I mean?
We're just saying.
Right. And so we identify the things that I think we think in our minds with what we assume that higher being looks like, acts like, moves like. And I think in a way that's valid. I mean, because a lot of people experience things differently. Some people don't experience anything. Like, I'm not spiritual, I'm not religious, I don't experience anything. Some other people are like, you know what? I resonate with Buddhism, or I can kind of like mash up, this aspect of Christianity to like Judaism or something like that. So I feel like I have my convicted faith, but at the same time, I am not opposed and I'm not standoffish to being open to what other people feel that makes them feel grounded and connected. That feels that they can enlighten themselves, they can grow, they can learn, they can move. I mean, that's powerful. So why I'm not going to take that away. So,
yeah, our minds can never really know the vastness of what God is. God has no sex. There is no man or woman.
No.
When it comes to God.
No, or any, like, that entity. You cannot.
It's not a person.
Yeah, and I think that's when it gets to the religious.
Right.
So, I always try to stress this to people, because when people ask me if I have a faith or anything like that, they're like, oh, are you religious? I'm like, no. No. I have a faith. Right. I have faith. Right. I am spiritual. Yeah. Because the topic of religion, again, if we want to use words and really, didact that, like, that is a man-made thing.
Exactly.
So the whole structure of religion, what our beliefs should be, how we move, how we operate, the economics that tie into it, the historical things that tie into it, that is something that we insert into this understanding, these practices of what our faith, how our faith should be perceived, how it should be practiced, which muddles it. Because if you think about it in the Bible, do you know how many I want to genuinely know, what the actual true Bible is before it was translated in all of the languages, before it got to our American English, before all of the kings, the queens, the rulers before took books out, put books in, omitted this line, put this line in, because it is one thing to be like, oh, well, it's King James, or it's this version, or like Peter wrote this, or Paul, and it's like, that's great, but like, who translated it?
Who orchestrated this book?
Who formatted it? Who put it together?
What is it? Who A&R'd this book right now? You know what I mean? Who's the executive producer of this book right now?
Exactly.
Who put these books together? Because they said there's a book of Judas. Yeah. So come on, it's.
And so, if you were to go from, like, Christianity to Judaism, there are different books in that. I mean, even if you go over to, like, Islamic faith, and if you do, like, a cross-reference of all three of those books together specifically, not to omit other texts, but, like, those three specifically are so similar, yet they're so different. Yeah. And a lot of people describe them as being, like, kind of cousins. I've heard a lot of people use the term cousin. So, like, a cousin, yes, we're blood relatives, and we have, like, the baseline connection. But aside from that, like, we have a different perspective. You know what I mean? And we go through a different interpretation of what's happening. And that's exactly what it is. But it doesn't.
All saying the same thing in different languages.
Right. But and I don't think, regardless if you have strong faith in Christianity, that's fantastic. If you have a strong faith in Islam, that's fantastic. If you have a strong faith in Catholicism specifically, or Judaism, Buddhism, whatever, that's fantastic. I'm not going to sit there and negate you. I'm not going to diminish your practice or your faith, because that's real to you. Just as much as my faith is real to me. Right. And I would hate for someone to diminish me. I mean, it's not going to shake me from it. Right. But, that's, wow, what a what a way to disrespect, how I, push myself, how I connect, how I am able to keep myself afloat, and to really, to have that alternative communication with something that's beyond me.
You know what's wild? So, Jesus wasn't a Christian.
I know.
That shit is wild to me. That shit is wild to me.
Were we not talking about something else?
We were. But Jesus wasn't a Christian. Well, we're going to leave it alone. But for me, it's always been, or not always been, from a young age, what I resonated with more than, being, because I was Baptist church, went to a Catholic school, so I'm seeing religion from different aspects. Yes. It wasn't until I had an aunt named Galen. She came from Mississippi, I believe it was, and I hung out with her for a couple of weeks, and she's Buddhist. She was the first person I ever knew that was Buddhist. She took me to, like, different shops where Buddhist shops that she was working with crystals and things like that, and she showed me what another religion was. So, and when I got older and I started to do my research. My favorite book is Siddhartha. And it's a story of the enlightened one. It's a story of quote unquote Buddha. And that message surpasses all the other messages that I was taught. And once I learned the history of Christianity, I'm like, this is what I want to be a part of. Like, it's, y'all did what? To who? When? Like, like, yo. But that's.
But I think, honestly, there have been a lot, and I was just talking to my mom, actually, about this. No matter what, going back to religion, again, because earlier we had separated religion and religiosity from faith and faith-based practice. It's different.
Yeah.
Yes, the two can work together, but they can also be separated. No matter where you look in anyone's history around the world, there has always been some religious persecution.
Right.
Christians have been persecuted. Christians have also been the ones to persecute.
Right.
And the same can go for all these different types of religious practices because, again, that's where the connection of a faith, economics, and control and power came into play, which, again, is a human thing. Like, we have forced those things onto. And so I think a lot of people will read texts and think, like, oh, well, it says that, if these people don't believe in it, they're going to burn fire and brimstone. But it's like, but what... Did it say that you were going to be the one to initiate that?
Yes.
No.
Who put you in charge?
It didn't.
Yeah.
No. Not saying necessarily that those words...
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Are like, okay.
Right.
But I'm just saying, that's still not our place.
Yeah.
We still cannot play the role of who lives, who dies.
Right. That's not up to us. We are not God. We have a comment that says, "What about Satanism?" Satanism is ill as fuck because for all the shit that gets talked about it,
it's really different from what it actually is, right? That's what I was reading an article
crazy about it.
And it was like completely, and so I'm like, why even? What's up with the name?
They say, love is the law. That is the only law. That's like one of the first lines in the book of Satanism. Love is the law. Like, love is the only law.
New for me.
Love is the only law. That's one of the first lines in it. So how can't you get behind that? Like, what? Love. But we digress. Day 5.
Oh, I gotta bust out the laptop. I forget. I should know these. They should be on. Wow, that was really off. Way left field. That one, wow. Sometimes that happens.
It does.
Oh, it's 9 and I did not post this. Oops. Sorry, y'all. It's going to be late. Day 8's going to be a little late. That's okay. Day 5 was living in the moment.
Living in the moment.
So, trying to remove yourself from the past. We just filtered through what you did, what you succeeded in. We filtered through what you failed at. We filtered through what you want to do and where you want to go. So day 5 was about practicing mindfulness and centering yourself in this present moment. Okay. So what I did was basically ask a series of questions, like how it usually goes, what keeps you grounded.
Right.
Throughout the day, does your mind wander? Or like in that present moment where you like wandering or doing things that you probably weren't actively thinking about, you know what I mean? Trying to make yourself more present as you were doing the activity. Right. And then the second aspect of that day was a mindful practice. So sitting with whatever was happening. Sitting with your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, sitting with everything, the sounds around you, cars, trees, birds, whatever.
Grounding yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. And just focusing. If your mind did travel, okay, that's fine. That's what's happening in this present moment. Yeah. And then bring it back.
Right. So. What I learned about meditation, it was, if your mind does wander,
you can't berate yourself.
Be aware of where it's wandering.
Right.
And that's meditation.
Right.
Your mind is supposed to wander. Your mind is supposed to take these trips. We're supposed to slow our bodies down so our mind can take the trip and live through that trip. That's being in the moment. Yeah. Giving yourself the freedom to think whatever you want to think. How do you do that?
Ooh, how do I do that?
How do you practice these things that you're telling your Instagram followers to do?
Well, I do it in a lot of ways. More recently, I've just find myself in solitude. So I'll be in my room or I'll find some other place out there in the world, Barnes & Noble, something, where I can just completely be by myself. Because that's the best way that I work. Okay. That's how I operate. And then I like quietness. I don't want to hear anything, no TV, no songs. I just like to listen to just silence, nothingness. And very much like what we're talking about, my mind wanders. I start thinking about something, I may end up crying. I'm like, oh my God, why did you even think about that? And then I take myself back.
You be ugly crying?
I'll be ugly crying. Kim K cried. And then in that same token, I'll probably be like, what were you crying about? It's good. Things is Gucci. You gravy. And then sometimes right after that, it's nothing. Yeah. It's just, I'm here. I feel my heart beating. I hear like car passing by my window, on the street. But it's okay. Yeah. And I think in those moments, I'm able to feel something that's greater than me. Right. And then I just allow that to take over. I allow myself to just be in that presence. So that's usually how I do it. Sometimes, though, it's always great to go to a bar and get a couple of shots.
Nice.
That's also a way of meditation.
Are you a people watcher?
Yes and no.
Okay. Why not?
Not because sometimes I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to see you.
But
I want to look at you.
Like, let's say you were at a bar.
If I'm out, I think the best place to people watch is from like a couple stories up and like a huge window. I don't know what it is about that, but like when I see like little people looking down, like, and you can see like on top of that, it's like a weird Sims game. But it's so interesting because the people are crossing. You can see everything. You can see the whole dynamic of people crossing paths, people bumping into each other, a car almost hitting something, and it's like, it's just different when you're, for me, when I'm elevated to see that happening. It's like I'm seeing a map of it instead of being with it 3D.
Inside of it.
And that makes my mind wander a lot more. It makes me think a lot more. And just, there's something about it that's really, I like it.
I think that's why I like, when I go to shows, I like to sit on the balcony or I like to sit above so I can look down on the performer. I don't like being in the mosh pit. Yeah. I don't like being hella up close. Yeah. I'm not that juice. Like, it's not too many people that I want to be in their mosh pit. No. It's maybe like 2 or 3. Yeah. But it's not enough to be in that mosh pit. Yeah. Like, I need to, because I can enjoy from right here. I can see all of y'all. Like you said, I can see all of y'all enjoying yourselves. And I see the energy that y'all are giving to the artist and that the artist is giving to you. And I'm just enjoying it all. Right. I love that shit. Yeah. Day 7. First week down.
Day 6. You keep skipping. We did day 5, right?
Day 6.
Yeah. Day 6 was be kind to yourself.
Always.
So, and with that being said, it was just, taking time to not berate yourself, to not hate yourself, get upset with whatever happened. So I really had this more so focused the person on doing affirmations. Okay. I am statements. Okay. I am this. I am that. Drop that adjective in there.
You was smart. You was kind.
You was kind. You was important. Yeah. Now maybe. But like I am empathetic. I am fearless. Yeah. And then for each I am statement, writing another affirmative sentence that validates why. Okay. So I am this. This is why.
What are you?
Oh, wow. It's on the spot question. I would say I am fearless.
Why?
Because even though I feel fear, even though I am afraid, sometimes I worry, I still do it. Yeah. I still push myself to go. I still push myself to say I won't be my own restriction. Yes. My own limitation.
Fear is a choice.
Yes. So,
in quotes, Will Smith.
Yeah. Oh my God. I am legend.
After Earth.
So I didn't like that.
You gotta go. Well, this has been fun. This has been
Yeah.
I saw After Earth maybe 4 times within like a weekend.
No.
In the theater. I spent like $50
in the theater.
I spent like $50 on After Earth, man.
We're going to talk about that later. That's a little... I don't know if that's... It's a little disappointing.
Be kind to myself. I was raised, or I grew up with an extreme amount of confidence for no fucking reason. Because, like, when we was kids, it was like, even if you was trash, fuck you, nigga, I'm better than you. Like,
I'm the best trash.
I'm the best trash, bro. Like,
oh my God.
No matter how weak or whatever I am, I'm still better than you. Like, we groomed each other to think that we were the best things ever. Mm-hmm. And now when I see these kids, they have no confidence in themselves. Mm-hmm. And they have, like, they don't even rock with each other like that. Mm-hmm. I tell the kids all the time, y'all not really friends.
No.
Y'all just go to school together. Mm-hmm. And that's sad, because y'all, even though y'all be roasting each other, y'all really don't like each other. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that stems from the internal aspect. Mm-hmm. You don't really like yourself.
Exactly.
And especially if, like, as a child, you know, the first lessons in life that you start to get obviously are in your home, mm-hmm. or wherever your home is, whatever right. home is to you, and school.
Right.
Because that's the secondary place that you're always in. Mm-hmm. So if you're not...
School more than home.
Right. So if you're picking up habits, traits, characteristics from whoever's around you in your home space, mm-hmm. and then you're going to school after school, and you're there in another modge podge of other people's bull crap... You're gonna, and especially if you have no sense of, like, direction, self-understanding, or nothing that grounds you, no one that grounds you and holds you accountable for yourself, you're gonna just fall into everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You're you're not even gonna have the integrity, the confidence within yourself to be able to say, no, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't want that. You're just gonna be like, okay.
I coach basketball for 7th and 8th graders, and when I was in 7th and 8th grade and I was on a basketball team, I didn't play a lot. Mm-hmm. I used to sit on the bench, and I was fine with it. Mm-hmm. I was just on the team. You know, I was there. I go to practice and stuff because I just like to play basketball. It wasn't about winning necessarily. And when we left, when the game was over and we would lose, I would walk home with my homies, and we would just laugh about it. Mm-hmm. It was fun for us. It just being out there, it was just fun. Mm-hmm. These kids don't like to have fun. Like, y'all, they take it so serious. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yo, you lost. Cool. Like, all right. Like, you're not going to win $1 million if you win. Mm-hmm. You're not going to lose $1 million if you lose. Mm-hmm.
And you didn't lose your ability to keep playing.
Right.
Just because you didn't win the game.
Keep playing. Yeah. I understand you mad because you felt cheated, but sometimes you're not going to win. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you're not going to win.
And sometimes in those moments where you don't win, you actually get the greatest win.
Right.
Like, in your loss,
right,
you actually end up gaining a lot.
Right. So, especially if you have a good attitude about it. Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I think that takes, like, a lot of time, a lot of patience to develop, because honestly, I mean, it sucks to lose. It sucks to feel rejected or to miss out or something, you know, and it's like, doesn't make you feel good. So sometimes it's really easy to be like, oh, well, I just kicked myself in the ass and, you know, call it a L. But in reality, it's like, okay, my life didn't end. Right. I'm still going.
Right. I'm not injured.
Right. So what did this closed opportunity prove to me? What did it show to me? What did it illuminate for me? Mm-hmm. And I think that goes beyond just being positive. Right. That's like real life. You know, like people, there have been so many people in the world who have said, you know, I wanted this, this, and this, worked 15, 20, 35 years for it, got to that point, no.
Changed their whole career.
Changed their whole life, just messed up their whole flow of everything. Right. But they're still here, and then they got into a better situation that gave them the, like, long-lasting joy. Right. Not just happiness, but like extreme internal joy. Right. So, and that speaks volumes. So,
I'm iffy to leave the schools. Because what I want to do is directly affect these kids. Yeah. I don't want to teach because I can't affect them the way I want to affect them. Yeah. I want to be able to be like, you fucking up right now. Mm-hmm. And them to understand, like, yo, I am fucking up right now. he's not just saying that because he's being mean to me or he's trying to get me in trouble. Mm-hmm. He's saying this because I am really fucking up right now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, be kind to yourself because nobody else is. When you don't have anybody, you have to fuck with yourself. Mm-hmm.
Even if you do have people, you still got to deal with yourself. It doesn't matter if you have like relationships, friendships, whatever, co-worker connections. You go home, when you shower, when you sleep, when you eat, it's yourself.
When you die,
it's yourself. So you have to be able to sit with yourself to even honestly appreciate the negative aspects of yourself. So that was a part of this day. Yes, it's the positives, but then also list some negative attributes. Right. What are some things you don't like, you want to change, you want to fix? But how can you be kind about it? Instead of saying, oh, you're fucking stupid. You can't even think about this or that. Be like, you know what? I may not be the greatest studier. Right. But, I can do things differently so that I can try to remember in a different way, in a different style, a different format. So it's like your negative aspects aren't necessarily a fault. Right. Your negative aspects. Now, sometimes if it's just toxic, get rid of that shit. Definitely. But for the most part, like 100%. Chuck that out the window. 100%. But if it's something like, it's just, it may be more based and rooted in insecurity, you can't dismiss it. You have to honestly embrace it. You have to embrace it just like you embrace your positive aspect. Just like in life. Yes, again, there are times to be happy and there are times to be sad. You got to embrace it both. Because they're both teaching you something. They're both showing you something. They're both allowing things to come and go for you. So that's just the ebb and flow of life.
What would you change about yourself?
Oh, boy.
What do you dislike about yourself?
Honestly, the major thing recently has been how I care so much. Sometimes I feel like, I know that sounds really wrong, like people want to care. For a while, since I was a kid, I really didn't want to care. I didn't want to care.
It's so simple not to give a fuck.
It's not for me.
I know.
It's really, like, I really care. That's just how I've always been. And I remember, like, growing up, my cousin, she's 2 years younger than me. She just seemed like whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to do that. Right. What are the secrets?
Caring almost opens yourself up to hurt.
Yes. And I find myself doing that just naturally. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that naturally. Yeah. So then, again, in that, I've had to learn, okay, how do I modify it for myself so that I'm not just opening myself up to everyone and everything. And then on top of that, understanding that my willingness, my capacity to care and to give and to be open and to share and be vulnerable with other people is actually a gift. Because then I've been able to, people have come to me afterwards and they have told me like, wow, like you shared that. Yeah. I would have never, or like, wow, you thought that you could trust me with that and it made me feel this way. And I just really, I was inspired by it. Or it made me want to share. It made me want to do more. So that's my story. I mean, of course, I open myself up to a whole bunch of stuff. But sometimes I really wish I had that mentality like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I can't.
Oh my God, it's so great.
It happens more. It's been happening more and more though.
It's so great. But for me, it's a crutch. For me, it's it's something that I had to acquire because of my loneliness. And that's from loneliness from a child, because from abandonment issues and my mother passing and things like that at a young age, not having a nurturer in my life. And that's another reason why I've dedicated my life to understanding women, because I didn't have that mother. Yeah. I didn't learn what a woman is from the person that was supposed to teach me what a woman was. So now I have to figure out what a woman is through the women that I know. And it helped me be a better friend. And it helps me be a better boyfriend because I understand both sides of the situation. I've had so many women friends, strictly platonic friends, who tell me their deepest, darkest secrets. And I have to deal with it. And I have to take that into me like, yo, we're doing these things to you all. And it's like, A lot of it is surface level. A lot of it is just like, oh, he did whoop, 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 and I was upset. But some of it, sometimes it gets so deep to where I had a friend who our relationship was so good to a situation where she was trying to kill herself and called me. And we're on FaceTime. And I had to be on the phone with her. She didn't die or anything, but she called me for that. That's the type of friend that I am to her. And countless amount of women that I'm that friend to them. If you don't trust no man, it's they trust me. If they boyfriends, other stuff, because I don't want anything from you, but I will love you no matter what. And I don't never have to touch you. I don't never have to do anything. I love you no matter what. I love you for no reason. I say this all the time. I love you for no reason. I don't have a reason to love you other than I can give love and my heart is big enough for you. Come on. I got you. And I'm a safe place.
No.
I'm a safe place. So that's how I'm kind to myself.
Yeah.
Day 7.
Day 7.
Let's end the week
was yesterday. And I still need to post day 8. Sorry, y'all. Day 7 was being patient with yourself. Because with all these things, we tend to want to rush.
Focus on yourself.
Be patient.
Be patient with yourself.
Yeah, the focus comes later.
Okay.
So being patient with yourself. So, shortcomings, how we want to live our lives, where we want to go with our lives. So even the things that came before this day, all this planning, all this releasing, this identifying, like what are your wins, what are your losses, and how you perceive those things, and being patient with the process. So be patient with yourself when you learn. When you do actually fail, have patience with yourself. Right. Don't be like, oh, I'm such a dumbass. Like, I can't do anything right. I'm going to always be a failure. Like, nah, you just messed up, or you just kind of took a wrong turn, or, things just didn't work out the way that you thought or expected them to. Doesn't mean that you're any of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just means that you have greater opportunity to not only take a new path, but to also try again.
Definitely.
And try again, maybe in a new way. So just being patient with yourself. So I just had these questions to be like, are the things, if you're not patient with yourself, what are you like, what do you feel pressured to do? Right. Who is putting this pressure on you? Right. Why are you putting this pressure on yourself?
Right.
So
why are you rushing?
Right. Why? And
what
exactly.
Are you rushing?
Why and what? And trying to really slow it down. So I had tried this activity, and it was just something very mundane. So I use the example of eating dinner, because sometimes we can just like scarf it down, or like, oh, this pizza, yoink. So just okay.
Elijah eats pizzas, full pizzas in one bite.
He just folds it in half and slide it down your throat.
What's it called? Mukbang? She mukbangs pizza.
I don't know. Okay, wow.
Mukbanging is just like taking all the food
gross.
and about. It's some YouTube
I don't
weird
like that.
It's some weird YouTube weird shit.
I don't like it. So to try this is just taking something as mundane as dinner. Savor it.
Savor the food.
You have some spaghetti.
Yes.
Put it on the spoon or your fork. Take a bite. Chew it.
Yes.
Like, actually chew it.
Taste the flavors.
Sit there, taste it. Sit there. I'm not saying just, like, eat, like... Don't do that. That's annoying. But, like,
annoying.
Put it in your mouth like a person's supposed to.
Or anything that eats. Yeah.
Like, yeah. But, just, like, savor it. Slow down. Take your time. And just try not to rush through a process. Right. And so I gave the reader the opportunity to choose any mundane activity. Whatever that they know that they have a tendency to just speed through.
Right.
Take that thing that you speed through and slow it down.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Could be brushing your teeth. Just rush through that shit. Don't do that because you lose your teeth. But, like, really take your time. Like, get every tooth, get everything. I don't know if you're... making breakfast in the morning. Instead of just like popping some toast out of the toaster and putting some butter on it, maybe carve out a little bit more time.
Right.
Make some oatmeal.
Right.
Put some sprinkle some coconut on that G thing. Put a little brown sugar on that G thing, a little couple berries in the center, put a little mint leaf at the top, and get a nice ass picture.
Yep. Presentation.
Photography lessons.
There you go. There you go.
But, and then try to start with something small and then see, okay, I slowed that down. How did it feel for me?
Right.
What did I achieve? Did I notice something different in this everyday thing than what I wouldn't have noticed had I been rushing through it?
Right.
And then, okay, I did that. It worked or didn't. Try it again, please.
Yeah.
How can I apply that to larger stuff?
Yep.
How can I apply that to my healing, my personal growth, my mental, spiritual, emotional growth? How can I apply those things, the slowing down aspect to who I am, to where I want to go, who I want to become? That's really important because we tend to want to get out of this situation. Oh, I hate this. I don't like this. I want to rush out of it. Or oh my God, I'm so sad. Oh my God, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. But, sit with it. It hurts. It sucks. And I had to do this. And I guess that's why I'm able to say it so easily. Because I know a lot of people are like, what the fuck is this? but honestly, and I hated it. Because I'm the type of person, if I don't like it, I want to go. Mm-hmm. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's been really, my situation has been forcing me to say no.
Right.
Because clearly you've missed something the last time you did that. So slow it down. Yeah. Yes, it's going to hurt like hell, but it's temporary.
Right.
And I think that's another thing. We don't realize that our pain, our suffering, even our joy, they're all temporary.
Right.
They're fleeting moments. Yep. And so I think in the search for self-love and all that stuff, it's more than just, I want to be happy. Because I guarantee you, all of you guys, most people have experienced happiness.
Right.
There has been some moment of joy, a conversation, a food, an activity, a hobby that we've done that has brought us some satisfaction. Yeah, a person even, ourselves, that has brought us satisfaction, and then that moment's over.
Right.
It just is what it is. Life is not supposed to be stagnant in one particular energy or one feeling or emotion.
Right.
It's supposed to just cycle on and
you
tumble.
have to feel all the emotions. Yeah. That's why the emotions exist.
And that's why there are cycles. Right. That's why there are new lessons, greater lessons. The same lesson comes back.
Right.
That's why some old things pop up and some new things pop up.
Right.
It's a give and take. It's just that's just how things are. It's so hard to explain.
I want to close with this quote.
Oh boy.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it.
Yep.
Cameron Fry, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh my God. Yeah, they play that movie on repeat all the time.
And that's one of the most poignant things.
Yeah.
Yes, life moves fast. There's making my way downtown. Walking fast, faces pass, and go on. Faces are just passing. You're not taking the time to even see the people that are around you because you're too busy moving forward and trying to just get to point A to point B.
Right.
We always say, I want to be married by this age. I want to have a great job by this age. I want this by this age. And when it doesn't happen, we feel like failures.
Right. And it's good to set goals, but I think when we force things in a time frame, that's where we mess up.
Yep.
When we want things to happen, I know when I am, 27, I want to have this apartment, this car, this dog. By the time I'm 38, I want to have this marriage, this connection, this whatever. We start to limit ourselves because it's okay, but what you want these things when you want it. That's great. But what about understanding when you need it?
Yep.
And when you need it in your life may greatly outweigh when you want it.
100%.
And sometimes you don't even know when you need it. And that's the weird, intricate, mysterious part about life. Because sometimes you never know when you need something for whatever you may need it for until it happens, until it comes, until it's in your lap. And you're like, oh, I needed this thing.
So I would like to give the listener my diagnosis.
Oh boy.
And this was said by a great philosopher named Titty Boy 2 Chainz. He says, believe in yourself, who else gonna believe in you?
That's a good word.
That is my diagnosis. Believe in yourself.
I hate the 2 chairs.
Who else gonna believe in you?
Yeah.
Okay? So, mind your love. Believe in yourself.
Thank you.
Because who else gonna believe in you?
Nobody got
Self-love. We are here. The diagnosis has been given.
Yes.
Heavy dose of self-love today. I want to thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
I know we, went a little bit over time.
A little.
Yeah. Started late, ended late, a little bit over time. We still made good time, though.
Good.
Wasn't 2 hours.
Yes.
Thank
Hour
you.
and a half.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
You have
pleasure.
given me and the listener a lot to think about.
Yes.
Gave us a week of self-care.
It's my goal.
Keep it going.
For 3 more weeks.
Tell the listener where they can find you.
So you can follow my Instagram page at Mysia Love. It's MYSIA Love with 2 E's. And so there I'll be posting the self-love, self-care prompts daily, mind you. Mm-hmm. And if you missed any of them, if you missed this past week, that's okay. Just go to the highlight section of my page and you'll find all of them there. So they'll always be available, even after the 31 days. It's just something for you to use as a tool to kind of filter through whatever you may be going through. So if you're struggling with something, especially if it's internal, mostly it's internal, you can go and find various topics that may resonate with you and kind of sit with the thoughts for a little bit because we all need that a couple times in our lives.
Definitely.
So please use it. It's not for me or for my self-gratification.
Spell your IG.
IG is MYSIA, Love with 2 E's. Come find me.
And you can find me at Simba5400 on Instagram. You can find the podcast Instagram Best Man Pod, BESTMEDPOD. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on SoundCloud, BESTMEDPOD. And until next week, we will have some more medicine for you. The best type of medicine. Deuces.
Bébé, quand tu danses, je te veux pour la vie. Bébé, quand tu penches, j'y pense toute la nuit. Bébé, quand tu danses, je te veux.